Good morning, everybody. Today we'll be playing the same Tron list again as last time. I didn't really want to make any changes yet. I know I had a lot of suggestions at the end of the last video, but I'm going to run it back, I think, exactly as it was, just because I want to see if I can get a little more of a feel for a different way to take Tron than the way that I instinctually take it. So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and take this into a modern league, and I don't know why Moto keeps doing that. It keeps trying to, like, give me a random deck rather than the one that I'm trying to play. Probably should clean up my gigantic list of decks. There's a lot of them that are no longer relevant. Alright, round one, here we go. Alright, we'll play first. Looks like it's going to be a good Tron day today. We'll keep. Okay. So we are going to start mine and map. Pass the turn. Let's hope Wormcoil is good versus our opponent's deck. Like if they're Death, Shadow, or Burn. Love coffee. Coffee is great. Okay, opponent starts Steam Vents untapped. Serum Visions. Okay, well, could be Blitz with a weird hand. Could be Storm. Could be... It's probably not actually the Kiki deck, because the Kiki deck does not play islands. I'm going to wager this is Storm. So we really need something to interact with our opponent's lands, and very quickly. We'll play Power Plant. Crack and go ahead and get Tower. Pass the turn. Because if this is Storm, Wormcoil Engine is almost certainly not enough. Opponent plays a Spire Bluff Canal and passes. We untap and draw another Urza's Tower. So play Urza's Tower. Play Wormcoil Engine. If we get remanded here, I'm going to play Chromatic Star. Though I'm probably going to play Chromatic Star regardless. If we get remanded, this is probably Storm. Well, I guess I should say I'm still leaning on this is Storm that I'm playing against. My opponent could potentially win next turn if they play a cost reducer into a ritual and like Manamorphose and such. They opt. Gonna sculpt their hand a little bit more. They untap. I'm also, I wanted to apologize for the recent dip in sound quality. I'm going to try my best to, in upcoming videos, fix it a little bit. There's not a whole lot I can do with the current setup, but especially because like it's getting towards Christmas time, the stuff that I would need to order to get it fixed in a reasonable way would not get here in time, and there's no local place to get it, so at least to my knowledge. Okay. Ancient Stirrings. We can either take Karn Liberated or Walking Ballista. I guess Walking Ballista lets me kill Electromancer and then potentially have counters left over. Because we have 6, 7, 8, 9 mana, so we could play it as a... We could actually play it through a remand and still kill Electromancer. That's probably the safest way to go. Karn is like the greed play, I guess. Yeah, we're going to take Ballista. The rest of the bottom in any order. And we're going to play Ballista X2. Because if this gets remanded, we can play Tower. I guess I should have played Tower to play around Mana Leak, but I don't think Storm plays Mana Leak. Okay. Baited the remand. Play Tower. Oops. Okay. Play Walking Ballista. Play Expedition Map. So now my opponent probably has to have another cost reducer. Go to combat, attack for 6. Hit our opponent to 10, we go up to 26. I mean, gaining life means my opponent has to get to a much higher storm count, but how much that really interacts with our opponent's strategy is probably negligible. But yeah, if you ever see Electromancer or Baral into one open mana and they pass, it means that they're, like, they don't just have the combo and they're willing to kill you. It means they probably have something they're going to try and protect the combo with. So play a forest, go to combat, we'll attack for 6, and then we're going to cast Kozilek. Opponent missing a land drop means that their hand is all action, and they may try to Gift Sungiven us on our end step. Cast Kozilek. Draw 4 cards. Opponent can remand this just a cantrip. You could also like Tails End the trigger, I guess, but I don't think they would play a Tails End. Okay, Kozilek goes back to our hand. Draw 4 cards. Play Chromatic Sphere. Pass the turn. Okay, Opponent plays a land. They have 7 non-land cards in their hand, potentially. They have 6 or 7, because they did get 1 extra draw off of Remand. So, they're starting with Manamorphose, which is good news for us, because it means they don't have a cost reducer currently. Okay, casting a Serum Visions. Another Manamorphose. Opponent is digging, but unless they're main boarding Echoing Truth, they're going to die to Wormcoil next turn. And I'm really, really positive my opponent cannot kill me with a Grape Shot at 32 life without a cost reducer. Storm count of 5. Opponent has cast a couple of rituals. They repeal Chromatic Sphere, floating 3 red mana. They could Grape Shot Wormcoil Engine, but then it just splits into 2 3/3s and those kill them. Okay, they fizzle and concede. Alright, so versus Storm. Kinda want Mistcutter Hydra. Kinda want Veils of Summer. I don't know if Nature's Claim... Nature's Claim probably doesn't do anything. What do we go down here? I think we're gonna go down Kozilek. Probably an All Is Dust. And I think Ugin the Ineffable. Maybe Ugin the Ineffable is better than Ugin the Spirit Dragon here. I'm not actually sure. All Is Dust and Ugin the Spirit Dragon are like somewhat tempting to keep in case my opponent goes deep on an Empty the Warrens early. There's a chance that we could use that to just wipe the board. But they don't always do that. In fact, some lists don't even run it. So, okay, I'm going to keep this. We draw Sylvan Scrying in our first 2 draw steps, or a map in our first draw step. This hand is really good. Okay, Mistcutter Hydra is not bad. Play Power Plant, play Chromatic Star. Pass the turn. We will most likely be using the green mana off of Star to cast Ancient Stirrings this turn, looking for an Urza's Mine. Okay, Punt plays Baral, so we might be on too slow of a hand here. We need to draw a Spatial Contortion. Draw Blast Zone. Play Urza's Tower. None of the things we wanted. I guess I take a Forest here. Rest of the bottom. Yeah, maybe I should have brought in Dismember. Because I've got a feeling I just die here. Okay, opponent plays an Island. If they're on a little bit slower of a hand, they could just Gifts Ungiven us on our turn and then try to untap and go off. Okay, we get a Sylvan Scrying, which is really the only thing we can do this turn, because Blast Zone is going to be way too slow to deal with Baral. So Sylvan Scrying. Okay, we get an Urza's Mine. Pass the turn. This is one matchup where I wish this list had Trinisphere. Because next turn we could play Karn, play Trinisphere, and we'd be fine. Okay, they cast Gifts Ungiven. Let's see what they get. Odds are we're going to dump the rituals into the grave because my opponent needs just like raw mana to go off. Past in Flames, Desperate Ritual, Pyretic Ritual, Manamorphose. Well, Past in Flames costs 3 mana, Manamorphose gets them to 4, and then they can Pyretic Desperate out of the grave. I think that's the best case scenario, because they have to use Past in Flames early, but they get 2 draws off Manamorphose, and they get 2 rituals here. If I give them a single ritual, they can cast it and then recast it. And they have 4 cards in hand still. I could dump Past in Flames, but then they just ritual up to it, and they only get 1 use out of it. Yeah, I think the correct choice is to dump the rituals here. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. But they can Manamorph... Oh, they just have rituals. Okay, yeah, we're dead. Opponent can Ritual, Manamorphose, Flashback Past in Flames, cast all of their rituals again, then Gifts Ungiven for whatever they want, and kill us. Yeah. There's a 0% chance we survive here, so I'm just going to go ahead and scoop. If they didn't have access to another Gifts Ungiven, I would say I'd play it out, but I'm going to cut a Wormcoil Engine for Dismember, and we'll run it back. That's the problem with Storm versus Tron. Tron has a generally bad matchup with super fast combo. Okay, we'll play first. That's too slow. It's a little better. I like having the Spatial Contortions, but we don't have a second land, so I'm going to go to 5. Alright, we're going to keep this. Putting back Ulamog and a Forest. We're going to start Tower Sphere and pass the turn. Basically hoping we get a second Tron land off of Ancient Stirrings and draw the 3rd. Want to start Shivan Reef probably into a Serum Visions. Yep. At least the potential for us to get a Spatial Contortion does exist, so we could maybe interact with the first Baral or Electromancer that our opponent plays, and have and actually stand a chance of doing something about it. We untap and draw Wormcoil Engine, which is not really what we want. Crack Urza's Tower for green, Ancient Stirrings. Take Urza's Mine. I think I'm going to play a Forest and Ancient Stirrings, though, again. Okay, no third Tron land, so we'll take Spatial Contortion. I'm actually kind of glad we saw that. Pass the turn. Now if my opponent just tries to run out Baral or Electromancer on 2, we can Spatial Contortion it on our turn. Doesn't look like they're going to do that because they know we have Spatial Contortion now. We draw Ugin the Ineffable, play Urza's Mine, and pass the turn. So if my opponent on 3 tries to once again play out Baral or Electromancer and leave up 1 mana, we're going to contort on their turn and then force them to use a remand. If they play Baral or Electromancer and cast a ritual, we are going to, in response to the first ritual, contort. Okay, there's Baral. Opponent's passing, so here we go. Contortion. Expecting a remand. There it is. This opponent gets to draw a card and then loot. If we draw a Power Plant, we can do a nasty play with Ugin. If we don't, we're going to just Contortion immediately. I did not bring in any sort of enchantment destruction, so Blood Moon would be a bad news bears for us. And we draw a Chromatic Star. So play Star. Crack Star for green. Get a redraw, hoping for a land. We do not find it. We have no choice but to just Contortion now. Pass the turn. But it plays an island. Blood Moon would be a huge annoyance, but we could at least cast Karn if we drew a land. Okay. We do not have any enchantment destruction. At least that I know of. Play Chromatic Sphere. Crack it for green. We're really just trying to hit lands right now. When it untaps, plays a Shivan Reef. They're getting a lot of mana, but they don't have a lot of blue. And tap and draw another Chromatic Star, so play Chromatic Star. Crack for green. Yeah, we drew a Veil of Summer. This is nice because if my opponent does Gifts Ungiven, now we can get a cantrip and counter the Gifts Ungiven, which is a big deal. Nice. Gifts Ungiven has to target, so we gain Hexproof and counter the Gifts Ungiven. We also get to cycle through our deck a little bit there. We're having really bad luck not getting a 4th land. Not to mention, we Ancient Stirrings twice, have cracked 4 stars, it's turn 7, and we Veiled. So we've gone like 20 cards deep in our deck and have not found the 4th land. There it is. Okay, play Karn. Really hoping they don't have a remand. Okay, Karn resolves. Down tick. So our options are Grafdigger's Cage to stop a Past in Flames, which they probably just repeal, or a Liquid Metal Coating and start proactively destroying their mana. I think that's the plan I want to be on right now. Pass the turn. Okay, opponent starts Manamorphose. Adds double blue. They might have a bunch of cantrips they want to cast. 4 mana. This could be a Gifts Ungiven. Okay, that makes sense. I wish we could get up to 6 mana, play Ugin, Liquid Metal Coating, and something else this turn. Oof. So we can either give them cost reducers, or we can give them Manamorphose. It's kind of a tough choice. I mean, if they have a cost reducer, giving them Manamorphose is just suicide. This is a main phase. I could dump Manamorphose, dump Baral, and then on their upkeep, shut off Island with Liquid Metal Coating. We could even wish for... yeah, I think this is fine. We're going to dump Manamorphose, and we're going to dump Baral. So we know they have Goblin Electromancer in hand, and Serum Visions they just played. So by tapping out, what we can do, we can wish for Grafdigger's Cage, so we don't get blown out by a big Past in Flames play. So let's go ahead and wish. Okay, Grafdigger's Cage. Play Cage. Cast Stirrings, because we do want to hit another land. It's very important that we do. There's a power plant, rest to the bottom. Play power plant. Play Coating. And now on my opponent's upkeep, we can shut off their island. They would have to have a lightning bolt to get rid of Karn to turn the island back on, or use the island mana immediately. We could get blown out by a repeal here, but they would have to have another blue source in order to cast Electromancer this turn, which is the big deal. Okay, they were unable to use their blue mana, which is really good for us. But it has to discard to hand size. Discards a remand. We untap and draw Expedition Map. So shut off the island and destroy it this turn. Now we're going to play map and crack map. We're going to get a power plant, I think. So we're on a little bit of a slow strategy here. The plan is to blow up Blood Moon with Ugin the Ineffable because we have 6 mana. But we're not doing it the turn we play Ugin the Ineffable because that unlocks our opponent's mana. So we're going to slowly start destroying all of their lands, play Ugin, and then on a turn where we have all of our mana untapped, we're going to play Ulamog and then waste the rest, basically. So target another or target another red land. Blow it up. Play Ugin. Uptick Ugin. Play map. Pass the turn. Yeah, our opponent's Blood Moon is not doing them any favors. This is one thing that I repeatedly bring up in my Tron videos. You cannot play Blood Moon against Tron and expect to win without a clock. So, alright, I'll see you guys in round 2. Alrighty, round 2, here we go. We'll play first. This hand is okay. I think I'm going to mulligan, though. If it had a sphere or a star, I probably would have kept it. This hand is much better, so I will keep. I'm going to put back Tower. And because I'm already holding Tron, what I'm going to do is start by playing out my stars, because I want to draw into a threat as quickly as possible. Considering we're on the play and this is game 1, I expect very little in terms of interaction with our primary game plan of playing lands. Okay, we get a Ancient Stirrings. So play an Urza's Power Plant. Crack for green, another Power Plant. We'll go and get a Karn Liberated. Wurmcoil Engine may have been better, especially if we get Thought Seized. I guess it doesn't really matter. Cavern of Souls on Rogue. Is this Robber of the Rich? Conspicuous Snoop, so we are against the Goblin deck. We draw an Ugin the Spirit Dragon, which I expect will be quite a nice card against my opponent's deck. So the only concern is if I leave Conspicuous Snoop and my opponent top decks, like after this Cavern is a Kiki Jiki, we just lose. We should be fine if we attack a land, because if they can't play Boggart Harbinger without 3 mana. So I'm going to downtick on Blackleaf Cliffs, because Cavern cannot cast Thoughtseize or Lightning Bolt. Okay, we dodged the big one. So next turn, we can uptick Karn, provided my opponent doesn't Lightning Bolt him, and then we can play Ugin, nuking the entire board or shooting Snoop, depending on what creatures my opponent plays. Okay, the second Cavern there, I thought was something my opponent might play. So they can only play Goblins right now that cost 2 mana or less. And that cost 1 single red, unless it's a Goblin Rogue. This is currently working out for us. Opponent should attack Karn here. Yep. Karn going to 1. I guess if my opponent has Mog Fanatic, they could kill Karn. Alright, another Goblin Rogue. This is probably a second Conspicuous Snoop. Unless what they're trying to cast is... Okay, could be probably like a Mog War Marshal. Yep, there's the Mog War Marshal. Playing a Goblin, we untap. We draw Chromatic Sphere. Okay, so we're going to play Power Plant, probably play Sphere, and then play Ugin. But first we're going to exile a card from our opponent's hand. We get a Goblin Ringleader. Play Power Plant. Play Sphere. Play Ugin. And we're going to -2 Ugin. Okay? Opponent cannot beat the Ugin. Alright, so versus my opponent's deck, I do want Dismember. Probably over Kozilek. And I kind of want Veil of Summer, because I'm expecting Thoughtseizes. I don't know how good that is, because Veil of Summer is much better versus counterspells and has some utility versus hand hate. But I'm not sure... not sure if that's a good idea or not. I think I'm going to try without it, because I feel like it might dilute the deck a little bit. Alright, we're going to mulligan that hand. We're going to mulligan... we're going to mulligan this one too, I think, yeah. Alright, I feel a little bit safer with this. We're going to put back Tower and Sphere. Basically trying to keep this off of the strength of Dismember. Okay, opponent starts Bloodstained Mire, cracks Bloodstained Mire, and finds a basic mountain into an Aether Vial. We untap, draw Ugin the Spirit Dragon, start Tower Map, pass the turn. Okay, Aether Vial ticking up to 1. Opponent plays a Cavern, naming Goblin. They play a Conspicuous Snoop with a War Marshal on top of the deck. We untap, we draw Karn, Great Creator. So play a Forest, pass the turn. We're probably going to have to Dismember this turn. Skirk Prospector. Okay. Opponent Vial ticking up to 2. Goblin Matron on top of the deck. Opponent cracks Bloodstained Mire. Oh, I probably should have Dismembered in response because my opponent's casting Goblin Matron now. Or Boggart Harbinger. Okay. Dismember Snoop so we don't immediately die. My opponent could sack Snoop, Violin, War Marshal, sack War Marshal, and sack Prospector if they wanted to play Kiki. But they would have to have Kiki in hand for that. My opponent only has 2 cards in hand. One of which is Goblin Matron, the other one of which is Mog War Marshal. And we know the top of their deck is right now Aether Vial. Okay, they sack it for red. Boggart Harbinger enters. Let's see what they search up. Conspicuous Snoop. So we know the top of their deck is Conspicuous Snoop. And underneath Conspicuous Snoop is Aether Vial. When it sacks War Marshal, sacks a token, and plays Pelashik Mons. Okay. Well, they must have done something to alter their top deck, because I thought they had Goblin Matron, and I just wasn't paying attention. We untap, draw Chromatic Sphere. We can either activate map and then play Sphere, or we can play Sphere, crack Sphere, try and draw land, and then activate map. I think we have to go with the second option. It's a little bit greedier, but I think that's probably the only way we're going to win. Yeah, now it's a problem. So opponent untaps. Oh wait, no, they don't have Aether Vial under Conspicuous Snoop. We don't know what's under there because they had to shuffle their deck. They Vial in Conspicuous Snoop. Top of their deck is Blackcleave Cliffs. Opponent attacks us for 6. Okay. We get hit down to 9. My opponent can just like Fireball us for lethal. Yeah, probably should have cracked Expedition Map and just played out the Sphere last turn. Not really sure why I thought the other one was better. Well, I could play Ballista and ping down Prospector. Let's crack Sphere first. Still no land. Yep. This is the only thing I can do to stay alive. Because otherwise my opponent could attack and then sack their board. Okay. Opponent sacks their Goblin for red mana to do 1 to us. They could sack the token now and do an additional 1, and then they'll have 8 damage on board. Alright. I did misplay there. That was my bad. We could want Thragtusk here, potentially. Because my opponent is playing an aggro deck that turns into a combo deck. I think it might technically be better than a Wormcoil engine. So we're going to try it like that. At least this way we could wish for Wormcoil if we had to. Urza's Mine, Ancient Stirrings. I'm gonna go to 6. Mine Tower with Spatial Contortion backup, I do like. We can put back Wormcoil Engine. Odds are, if we get to Tron, it'll be on turn 4 or later. So, we will actually have the ability to play Ugin. Okay, my opponent did mulligan to 6, which I think is good news for us. Start Urza's Mine. Opponent starts Blood Crypt tapped. Okay. We untap and draw Thragtusk, play Tower, pass the turn. Well, it would be a Wormcoil, so I think it's actually slightly more castable now. Opponent plays a Mountain into a Snoop with a Black Cleave Cliffs on top of the deck. I'm just going to kill this now while I have the mana, before letting my opponent have any more information. We draw Ugin the Ineffable, play a Forest, pass the turn. We're really, really hoping to top deck Power Plant. Ancient Stirrings would be good. Even Sylvan Scrying would have some utility here. 3 mana, opponent plays Blood Moon. Okay. We are now playing a much slower game. We were going to top deck Power Plant. I just F6'd instead of playing Karn Great Creator, like a dum-dum. So, my bad. 4 mana, opponent plays a Sling Gang Lieutenant. We untap, we draw Expedition Map. Oh, it's so bad. Oh, that's so bad. Okay, play Expedition Map. Crack map. We are going to get a Forest, just in case my opponent has a Stone Rain effect. I completely missed out on playing Karn, and I had to have a land drop there. That's terrible. I'm so sorry, everybody. 5 mana, opponent plays Kiki-Jiki. Makes a copy of Sling Gang Lieutenant, meaning we're taking at least 4 damage. So we need to top deck a land so we can Ugin Kiki-Jiki. Otherwise we probably just die, which means we're not Ugining Blood Moon. The opponent sacks the Sling Gang Lieutenant. We untap and draw Mine. Play Mine. Well, they can't, like... Hang on. They make another Sling Gang Lieutenant. They attack us for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 damage. That would kill us exactly. Yeah, okay. So we play Ugin the Ineffable, and we have to use it to kill Kiki-Jiki. Otherwise we die exactly on board. Okay, opponent drains us for 1 in response. Opponent plays a Goblin Chieftain. 2, 4, 6, 8. Yep, we're dead. I probably could have survived if I'd had Karn to tank 1 hit. That is unfortunate. I just completely threw this game. And my opponent, of course, had Blood Moon on the exact turn they needed to have Blood Moon. If they didn't, we would have played Ugin and they would have lost. But my bad, everybody. My bad. Alright, I will see you guys in round 3. For those of you who have been watching this video, please let me know if between the last segment of the video and now, there has been an improvement in sound quality. I went back and I hung some heavy sound deadening material on the side of me that has my microphone, so hopefully the reflected sound is not as bad and I don't have quite as much of that tin can feeling. So, if you're listening to this, please let me know in the comments below. So, we're going to play first. Unfortunately, that is a mulligan. This is also a mulligan. This is, like, if we had an Ancient Stirrings, I might consider keeping this. But we are going to 5 here. Perfect. So, I will be putting back both Chromatic Spheres. And we will start Power Plant Map. Pass the turn. Opponent starts Mystic Sanctuary. We play Tower. Crack Map and get Mine. So, we will have Karn on turn 2 into Ugin on turn... Or Karn on turn 3 into Ugin on turn 4. So players is Mine. Play Karn. Opponent is some kind of blue-black deck. It could be Death Shadow, it could be Grixis Control. I imagine if I get Coding, it just gets countered. So I'm going to wish for Sundering Titan, because we can play Sundering Titan next turn. My opponent might be able to flash in a Snapcaster Mage and take Karn down to 1, but I could have played Chromatic Sphere there. Opponent has a Field of Ruin. Okay. We untap. We draw Sylvan Scrying. Opponent activates Field on Mine. Get a Forest. Opponent gets an island. Can't use the floating mana, unfortunately. So, Sylvan Scrying. Get Urza's Mine. Play Urza's Mine. We're gonna wish and get Liquimetal Coating. Play Coating. Play Chromatic Sphere. I'm gonna crack it because we have 2 forests. Don't need the colored mana off of it now. Perfect. Okay. Stop on my opponent's upkeep. We will be turning off Watery Grave. Opponent is going to Archmage's Charm on their upkeep to draw 2 cards. Bold choice, considering we just wished for a Sundering Titan. Opponent plays a Flooded Strand. We untap. We draw another Power Plant. So, play Power Plant. Blow up an island. Play Sundering Titan, and we'll take out the Watery Grave and the Mystic Sanctuary. And our own forest, unfortunately. Pass the turn, and that should be the victory. Nice. That Archmage's Charm to draw was a little bit questionable. This is definitely a matchup for Mistcutter Hydra, Veils of Summer. I'm trying to think if my opponent is playing Dimir and main decking Field of Ruin. They could be Mill. It could have been Mill with a really awkward hand. I'm actually going to leave in Kozilek for that reason. I think we cut All Is Dust, 1 Worm Coil, and a Spatial Contortion to bring in 2 Veils of Summer and a Mistcutter Hydra. My opponent could be playing a deck that plays Damping Sphere, so I think I'm going to bring in a Nature's Claim over the other Spatial Contortion, and we're going to try it like this. I just want to hedge my bet a little bit, because I'm not sure what my opponent is playing. We actually beat them pretty handily that game. Felt pretty good. This is not a keep, this is a mulligan. This, however, is a keep. We will put back a forest, because we have 2 spheres here. When it starts Flooded Strand, we start Mine and Star. Pass the turn. Nice to have the Veil of Summer. When it fetches up a Watery Grave, tapped. They untap, play Polluted Delta, and pass. We draw Sylvan Scrying. So play Power Plant. Play Chromatic Sphere. Pass the turn. No need to do anything here. We're trying to make a potential field as awkward for them as possible. Okay, there's the field. Opponent hits our Power Plant, so go ahead and get a forest. I am going to crack Sphere for green. Okay, Ancient Stirrings is fine. Now, if my opponent has Spell Snare, we have Scrying backed up by a Veil of Summer. So Sylvan Scrying. We'll go ahead and get Power Plant. And this way we have Karn backed up with Veil. Or, in this scenario, Sylvan Scrying backed up with Veil. Okay, we draw a second tower. They cannot counter Sylvan Scrying, and we get Power Plant. We did draw another Urza's Tower if we get fielded again. Opponent Thought Seizes us, they have to take Karn. If they have a second hand hate effect, they'll take Ancient Stirrings. So they take Karn. Opponent passes, we untap and draw Kozilek. Play Power Plant. Ancient Stirrings. I don't think I want a third tower. I could take a redundant mine, actually. The only way that Kozilek gets out of our hand is if our opponent Thought Seizes us again. If I take mine, my opponent might play a field on tower. Actually, they'll probably field the Power Plant again because they've already fielded 1. So I'm going to take the Chromatic Star here. Rest to the bottom. Play the Star. Crack it for green. Draw a card. It's Sinulamog. Sylvan Scrying. We're going to go get another Power Plant just to dissuade them from potentially fielding our Power Plant again. Have we revealed this Urza's Tower? We did not. So if my opponent plays a third field, they could potentially hit our Urza's Tower. Opponent plays a Narset Parter of Veils, revealing Cryptic Command, which we're not too worried about because we're just going to Ulamog here and nuke all their lands. Play an Ulamog. We'll hit... Well, doesn't matter. Game over. That was pretty awesome. So I'll see you guys in round 4. Alright, round 4, here we go. Alright, we'll play first. I mean, this hand does eventually get to an Ulamog, just slowly. We can do better, though. This is not better. Perfect. We will keep. We put back Sanctum of Ugin and a Forest. Starters is mine, Chromatic Sphere. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps, starts Spire Bluff Canal, and passes. I think they were thinking about opting on their main phase. If they have a Spell Snare, we're in trouble, kind of. Yeah, they opt. They just wanted to threaten the counterspell, I guess. So Sylvan Scrying is going to go get us a tower. And now we just need to top deck a bomb. If my opponent is on Storm, we do have Spatial Contortion. They could be Kiki combo. They could also be Storm. The fact that they play an island tells me they're probably on Storm. As foretold, this could be turns, Living End, Restore Balance. There's a lot of decks here. It's probably the Living End deck. We untap. We draw a Wormcoil Engine, so we have something to do with all this mana. Play Wormcoil, pass the turn. Opponent untaps, as foretold, ticking up. Want to cast a Serum Visions and play a land. Yep, this looks like Electro Balance. The Greater Gargadon Restore Balance deck. So we do have to watch out for our opponent casting a Restore Balance. The good news is we are much lower in cards in hand than our opponent. They play a Crashing Footfalls. Okay. We can actually kill both Rhinos if they double block by Spatial Contortion. Opponent's Simian Spirit Guides, 3 red mana, Finale of Promise, Recasting Opt, and Crashing Footfalls. That's pretty good. Well, from this position, my opponent is probably not going to Restore Balance anytime soon. If we can draw an Ugin the Spirit Dragon, it's game over, though. So play Chromatic Star. We will crack it for green. We draw Expedition Map. We may want to map for Blast Zone to deal with As Foretold. Problem is we're at least 2 turns away from that. So play map. We'll play a Power Plant. I am going to attack because I expect my opponent to only double block. Yeah, there's no reason for them to risk more. So now we can Spatial Contortion or Rhino. Oh, what am I doing? This doesn't kill it. Oh my gosh. For some reason I thought it was -3/-3 instead of +3/-3. I mean, I guess now we have less cards in hand if they Restore Balance. That was silly. It was very silly of me. If my opponent had triple blocked, that would actually be reasonable because we would have killed one more thing. But, you know how Kano do. He punts. A lot. Man, I am not doing well these last few leagues. Let's see, I Armageddon myself. I threw away at least 2 other matches, including one in this league. I was trying to play tighter this league, too. I just, need to make sure I read and reread cards. Opponent has another Bolt. Okay. Opponent goes to combat. Attacks for 8. No blocks, we go down to 18. This time I am going to get Blast Zone. We untap. We draw Ugin the Ineffable. Does that change what we do here? I don't think so. I think we play Ugin and we downtick on As Foretold. So play Ugin, playing around Mana Leak only. If I uptick Ugin, we don't have enough toughness to block and have him survive. So we'll take out As Foretold. This isn't, too damaging because my opponent, if they want to play a Restore Balance, they can just, Electro Dominance, but they won't from this position because it's extremely advantageous for them not to. Okay. Opponent goes to combat, 1 at Ugin, 1 at us. Okay, we take 4, Ugin dies. Opponent plays a Steam Vents tapped. And then another As Foretold. We untap. We draw Sanctum of Ugin. So play out Sanctum, pass the turn. Opponent ticks up As Foretold. Goes to combat. Hits us for 8. We go to 6. Put 2 charge counters on Blast Zone. Untap. Draw another tower. And that's game, actually. Never mind. Alright, so other than the complete brain malfunction that I just had, we're going to bring in Mistcutter Hydra. We're going to go down probably Kozilek to bring in Thragtusk. Spatial Contortion kills nothing. Veil of Summer is useful because my opponent does have Force of Negation. And I am going to bring in Nature's Claims. I need to cut some cards, though. All this dust will probably never resolve. Walking Ballista does almost nothing in this matchup, although it is a colorless fireball. Casting it for any real number is probably not that possible. I'm going to drop a Worm Coil Engine because I can still wish for it with Karn. And I think I'm going to cut one Ugin the Ineffable. We're going to try it like this. Alright, we'll play first. We do have Chromatic Sphere for Ancient Stirrings. I don't like this hand, though. We definitely have stronger 6s. And we definitely have stronger 5s. The risk here, though, is we get like a 1-land 5, which would really suck. Okay, well, it's not quite a 1-land 5. I'm going to keep. We have to put back, I think, Ulamog and probably Ancient Stirrings. Okay. Now we have two options. We can Power Plant into Sphere or Power Plant into Map. Both are good if we top deck, or Map is better if we top deck a Tron piece. Power Plant Sphere gives us 2 draws at a Tron piece because we have a Sylvan Scrying. I think Map is a better backup plan because we will get to 3 mana off of Sylvan Scrying, Power Plant, and Blast Zone. And this gives us more chances at drawing Tron early. So we're going to start Sphere here. Pass the turn. Okay. Opponent starts Untapped Mountain. We draw Forest. Crack Sphere for green. We find a Thrag Tusk. Play Blast Zone. Sylvan Scrying. We're going to go get Urza's Mine. Pass the turn. Next turn we can play Mine into Map. I guess by not playing Forest there, I technically risked not being able to play Thrag Tusk in a reasonable manner. Opponent Electro Dominance is for 0 for a Crashing Footfalls. That's really, really strong. 8 power that tramples across 2 bodies on turn 1 is really good. We showed that with the triple combo Living End deck. I'm not sure we can beat this. We have to like top deck Ugin to really even have a chance. So we can play Urza's Mine, we can play Expedition Map, we can crack and get Tower theoretically, but we have to top deck Ugin. I guess Sphere into Thrag Tusk does keep us alive. But it cracks Scalding Tarn, gets a mountain, plays an island, plays As Foretold. Okay. Goes to combat, attacks us for 8, we go down to 4. Alright, we get an Urza's Tower, and really hoping we top deck Ugin here. Karn, Great Creator. So if I play Tower, we'll have 8 mana, I could play Karn and wish for Ensnaring Bridge. I think that's safest. I mean, my opponent probably brought in Shatter Spree, but I think that's safer than playing Thrag Tusk. So play Karn. We could also just get forced here, and that would be the end of the game. Wish. This is one matchup where I wish I had Trinisphere. Get Ensnaring Bridge. Play Ensnaring Bridge. Play Chromatic Sphere. Pass the turn. This is where we get next leveled, and like our opponent just Ancestral Visions targeting us, we draw too many cards and then die to... die to rhinos. That would be something. It is technically possible. It's a legal sequence of plays that could occur. Opponent bolts Karn. That was kind of what I was afraid of with the Thrag Tusk play. Opponent plays Gargadon. They're going to sack their creatures. Looks like they're setting up for a Restore Balance play, which means we are losing our whole mana base here. Sacrifice our lands. We'll keep the forest, discard the Thrag Tusk. Alright, so we have to have a bunch of really good running top decks. Okay, pass the turn. And like, worst case scenario, my opponent has another Restore Balance and we lose all of our lands again. I've never ever played this matchup in my life, I don't think. I've played the deck my opponent is playing, but I've never played this matchup. It does seem pretty bad for us, though. Having access to, like, 0 mana Armageddons must be pretty good. Okay, opponent plays As Foretold with As Foretold. Restore Balances again. We sack all our lands. We'll keep the forest. Okay. Draw Karn Liberated, play a forest. The worst part of this is, if we don't keep drawing cards we can play and that don't cantrip, we're gonna die by just being, like, attacked by, like, either a Gargadon or a Simian Spirit Guide or something silly like that, and it's not gonna take very long to kill us. But an Ancestral Visions themselves, because that's reasonable. They play a Scalding Tarn. They crack Scalding Tarn. They get a Steam Vents untapped. Suspend Gargadon number 2. We untap. Draw power plant. Play power plant. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps, million triggers. Opponent shatter sprees the bridge, and there goes any hope we had of winning. And we die to an elephant. Just remember, an elephant never forgets, but it also never forgives. Well, I'll see you guys in round 5. Alright, welcome to round 5. I'm going to keep this hand because we have 2/3 of Tron, Chromatic Star, Ancient Stirrings. We have a good chance at drawing a map because we are on the draw. We could also hit a Sylvan Scrying quickly in our first couple of draws here. When it starts Windswept Teeth, so it's probably Heliod Company. It's almost certainly Heliod Company. Well, Utopia Sprawl on red tells me it's Ponza. Players is mine into Chromatic Star. Okay, opponent plays a Wooded Foothills into a Stomping Ground into a Seasoned Pyromancer. So this is definitely the Gruul midrange, Ponza, whatever you want to call it deck. We untap and draw Karn. So start by cracking Star. Let's see what we get. Okay, Karn liberated. Ancient Stirrings. Unfortunately, no tower. So we're going to get another Chromatic Sphere. Rest of the bottom, play Power Plant. And play Chromatic Sphere. Pass the turn. Cracks Wooded Foothills. If we top deck a tower, we might be in business. As long as my opponent does not play Blood Moon. Chandra, Torch of Defiance. That's a good card. We basically need to get to Ugin to recover from this board. When it ticks up Chandra, they're playing Karn, Great Creator, so they are also playing the repeatable land destruction. Okay, we untap. We draw Blast Zone. So crack Sphere for green. Draw another Karn. Play Blast Zone. And I think I have to contort the Seasoned Pyromancer. I know I could have saved that Sphere for a potential Sylvan Scrying, but the fact that we drew a land means that if we top deck a tower now, we can play Ugin, which will mean we'll probably win. I think that I'm under enough pressure with an active Chandra that I can't really afford to just sit around and do nothing. It's going to feel really bad if I draw another Ancient Stirrings or a Sylvan Scrying without a Sphere or a Star, but I don't think I can afford not to do that. So my opponent upticked Chandra into a Lightning Bolt and chose to cast the Lightning Bolt. They have 3 mana left and 3 cards in hand. If we draw a non-tower land, we can at least play Walking Ballista on 2, which will stop... Walking Ballista on 1 or 2 will stop Chandra from ulting for a single turn. Okay, opponent plays a Clothis. Gets in for 2. Gets us down to 9. We untap. It feels so bad. Oh man, does it feel bad. Okay, well, without Walking Ballista on 1, I still think it was correct to have cracked it when I cracked it, but it's pretty bad. Okay, opponent ticks Chandra up to 7. Gets us down to 5. 4 mana. It's basically tower or bust now. Bone Crusher Giant. Yep, tower or bust. Oh, I can't even stop Chandra from ulting. I have to ping the Arbor Elf to stay alive. Well, no, I can block... No, I have to ping the Arbor Elf to stay alive because I can't go to 3 or risk dying to bolt. So we chump a Elemental token, ping Arbor Elf, which turns off Clothis, meaning we only take 1 and go to 4. And then we have to draw exactly Urza's Tower or we lose. That does not do it. Okay. Alright, game 2. We definitely want Nature's Claim. I think I want Thragtusk, Dismember, and what's going out here? All is Dust. Never mind. We're going to cut Kozilek. We're also going to cut 1 Worm Coil so we can wish for it. Ballista seems fine. I think it's probably better than an Ugin. I'm actually not going to bring in Dismember. And I am going to cut Ballista. Ballista is our most awkward answer on curve. But it also doubles as a threat later. Okay, now that we know what we're playing against, we can mulligan more effectively. Hopefully. This is not a great 6. We're going to 5. I guess I have to keep this. I don't like it, but I think this is really my only option right now. Okay. Yeah, we're going to keep 5 here. We're going to put back Forest and Worm Coil. And we will start Urza's Mine, Chromatic Star. Pass the turn. I do like Nature's Claim a little bit more than Wilt in the event that you're in a meta that doesn't have a lot of Chalice of the Void. But it starts Arbor Elf. We untap and get a Sylvan Scrying. I'm going to start by sacking this for green, because if we draw a Tron land, then we're on turn 3 Tron. Should have specified. Players is mine. Sylvan Scrying, we're going to go get Power Plant. Pass the turn. Opponent plays a Wooded Foothills or a Stomping Ground. They have 3 mana this turn. Into a Seasoned Pyromancer. Discarding Chandra and Stomping Ground to get a 1/1. Okay. We untap and draw Expedition Map. So play Power Plant, play Expedition Map, pass the turn. We will at least get to Tron, and we can fight through a Blood Moon. Cleansing Wildfire would suck, but not much we can do about that. Okay, opponent is playing a 4-drop. It's Bloodbraid into Blood Moon. So we're going to go tutor up Tower. Okay, Blood Moon lands. They hit us for 6. We go to 14. Kind of need to draw an All Is Dust or a Ugin, Spirit Dragon. There's All Is Dust, so play a Forest. Pass the turn. We want our opponent to commit more to the board this turn. That isn't a redundant Blood Moon, I should say. Oh, well, it's not a redundant Blood Moon, but it does hurt. Oof. Okay. New plan. We need to draw, like, Thragtusk now. I could Nature's Claim my opponent's Blood Moon. I don't think it's correct to do that now. I think I have to Nature's Claim something of my own to gain life to maybe survive. And we would have had it, too. Unbelievable. Yeah, I mean... Grr. Didn't unlock my lands. Oh, wow, the Clutch Magus. That really hurt. So, had we played all of the exact matchups we just played, I should have 3-2'd. I threw away the game versus Goblin combo, and I'm very sorry that I did. Hopefully the sound quality has improved, and most people... It makes a noticeable difference, and it's not quite as tin can sounding. I am sorry about that. When I move back to my original setup, it will improve back to the quality that it was. But until then, this is about as good as I can do. I might be able to mess with it a little bit more and try and eke out a little bit less echo, but for now, this is what I got. I think the same changes I recommended last video and this video are basically my feelings on it. Yeah. So, if you guys like this video, please leave a like, drop a comment, and subscribe to the channel if you're so inclined and you haven't already. It'd mean the world to me if you did. It costs you nothing and supports the channel. Once we get to 1,000, I will be able to get to monetization, and we've been climbing pretty steadily for the last few months, which is nice. You can also follow me on Twitch, same username over there as you find me on here. I stream Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 8 p.m. Standard Time. I've been pretty consistent, sometimes earlier and running into that time, because earlier seems to be better for most people who watch me. So we'll see if that changes permanently in the upcoming little while. No guarantees, though, until I'm back to my original setup. But I want you to know that you're all wonderful human beings, and thanks for watching. Bye!